Assalamu alaikum. Here we are going to discuss the next and the last topic of the chapter, and after this our syllabus of half yearly will be completed. Okay, so question answer I will provide very soon within 1 or 2 days. First of all, you see what attribute list declaration this topic is. We have discussed about what is attribute and how attribute values to be written, where attributes are written. As the definition says, attributes are the additional information to an element. Okay, additional information. But in XML, most of the time, it is recommended that we should not use attribute. Okay, still we can use, but it is recommended better not to use attribute. In place of attribute, we can use as element, like student and roll number can be as attribute, but roll number also it can be made as an element or as tag. Okay, so better to use an element for more distinguished understanding purpose. Okay, so we can better understand that what is the part, what is this actually, where it is going there. So better use elements in place of or instead of attributes. But still we must know what is attribute and how these attributes are to be written in XML document if we mention. But it is not prohibited that it should not be used. Still it can be used, but recommended that better not to use. But some of the places it is required to write attributes for give some explanation about an element. Okay, let's see what are the attribute list declaration it says. First of all, you have to know in which element you are adding an attribute. When you declare the attribute list, in where we have to declare that which element will have attribute, we should mention in the DTD. As you know, the DTD is the design of the XML. So in the DTD we have to mention then these are the elements. These elements will have attribute. And what type of attribute, what will be the attribute, everything it will be designed like that. We have explained about one building and the building design, and the exact building is this. So here also we have to design the DTD, and in the DTD we have to mention, as we know, the root element should be mentioned. What will be the elements under this one? That means what will be the children's of this root? Is there any subchild of that root elements? And also we have to see that if any elements have any has any attribute, then what will be the attribute? So these things we have to mention in the DTD. So first of all, you have to see the element name in which the attribute will be associated. Okay, shortcut I have written here in the book. You can see the element name. We have to mention in which element the attribute will be associated, means it will be contained with the element. So first of all, you have to mention that element name. Then you have to mention what will be the attribute of that element, name of the attribute. Then you have to mention what will be the type of the attribute. Now here we have to use only one type of attribute. This is C data. Okay, C data, not PC data, only C data. PC data, parsed character data. We have discussed parsed means it will be checked one by one characters, but here character data means whatever you will be written, it will be never checked by the parser. It will be never checked. Whatever you have written, just it will be assume that the value it is correct, whatever you have given according to your needs. So it is character data which will be never parsed, never checked. Okay, validation will be never checked. But the validation rules of the attributes, we have to mention that whenever you write the value of the attribute, it should be written in double quote. That one is different. But what type of the attribute it will be, that it will be never parsed by the parser. Okay, this is the type of the attribute. The next one is the most important part, is the default value. As we know, whenever we do in computer science, maximum times in programming we have default values in some cases, but still the default values can be changed. Yes, so here also in attribute values also some values are default to the attribute, and there are 4 variations. Okay, these questions, these default value variations of default value, this question was there in 2015, I think 15, yes, or 16 base, yes, 16, not 15. 15 students were there, base was 15 to 16. So in the 16 SSLC exam, this question was there, when the topic it was not included in your book. See, this topic it was not even that time, but question was there. what are the 4 variations of an default value of an attribute. So these are the 4 default value of attribute: required, implied, fixed and supplied. These are the 4 default values or 4 variations of an attribute. Remember, very important question. Okay, so how these default values are to be written and how it will work in an XML, let's see. First of all, this is the DTT you have to write. This is the DTT. Okay, let's change the color. This is the DTT. Now see, while writing the DTT, as we know, if it is element, we have to mention as like that element. In that way, we have to write yes or no in XML, sorry, in DTT. Okay, in the similar way, if it is an attribute, then you have to write like this: attribute list question mark, then ATTLIST, attribute list, at list. Okay, at list means attribute list we are declaring, remember. So this attribute list you have to, so this keyword you just remember, this is the keyword at list. Okay, at list is the keyword, like we write element or doc type with exclamatory symbol. Okay, so now see, try to match with these 4 things here. First of all, what at least it is must be written. Next you see element name. Yes, this is the element name, in which element we are adding attribute. Then attribute name. What is the attribute name? Roll number is the attribute name. Then type of the attribute. What is the type? C data. Every time you have to mention this C data. And default value, as we are discussing about. So default value is required. So these are the 4 things that you have got here. What are the 4 things? Element name, then a variable, sorry, attribute name, type of the attribute and the default value. And now what the default value? It may be among anyone among these 4. So here a required, we have it, we are discussing required. Required, the meaning is that, and remember, while writing the default value, you must mention hash sign before this, hash sign. Okay, so required means you must give the value to the attribute. You cannot make it empty, that you have declared an attribute as required, but that attribute you have not declared in the XML, then you will be getting an error. You will get error. Okay, so the XML according to this DTT will be this one. This is the XML: student as the element and roll number is the attribute, and as it is said required, so you must give any value, whether anyone, anything you can give, 4, 5 according to your XML document. What the value comes, you must give the value, but the double quotation don't forget. Next, implied. What does it mean, implied? The definition of all these 4 you just see in your book. Okay, these things are very much important. In your exercise question also it is included. Example also it is there with explain with example. It is the question, it is there in your exercise. So these examples can be written. Here implied, here the DTT you see. In DTT again, at least 2 must be written. Then what is the element? Student is the element, roll number, everything is same. Just you see, in place of required, now we have used implied. Now what does it mean? What is the meaning of implied? Implied, if it is written with the DTT, in the DTT, that means you can omit also the attribute. If you want to give the value, sorry, if you want to add the attribute, then you can add, and we can omit also. Without attribute also it is correct. Okay, without attribute, there is no attribute with the student, this is also correct. Implied, you can supply or you cannot. Okay, sorry, you may not. Okay, so this is the optional. If you write implied, whether you give any value you can give, or you can omit the attribute even. Now fixed, as we know, fixed, which is fixed, it cannot be changed. So this is the DTT, you can see in the DTT line. Fixed, it is I have given a 5 number, any number. This is the value of the attribute, it is fixed, it cannot be changed in the XML. Okay, so in the XML you can see the roll number, there is no value in the roll number, simply I have written roll number. Means if the value is not written, the value of the roll number is 5, or you can write only 5, other than 5 you cannot write, because this 5 is fixed. Okay, the next one is supplied. In supplied, no need to mention like fixed, implied, required. Now see, there is nothing written here, simply we have supplied value as 5, C data 5. It means this the default value is 5. You can change also even. If you have not written in the XML any value, then the value is 5. But you can change even, like 10. We have changed. Any value it can be given. Now what is the difference between supplied and implied? You can see the difference. In implied, you can even omit the attribute. But in supplied, you cannot omit. You must write the attribute. Okay. In implied you can give any value. In supplied, if the value is not supplied in the XML, then the value it is given in the DTT will be taken as the value. So if it is not given, the value will be this one, but the such kind of things it is not there in implied. Okay, but you can even change. So these are the 4 default values of this attribute, remember. So what is the attribute list declaration? Very easy. The element name where the value attribute will be associated, then the attribute name, then the type of the attribute, and the default values. And now this default value may be anyone from the 4 among these 4. Okay, so next topic we see in the next page, the entity. The definition of entity you may get in the book, it is there. What is this? That means is the set of characters. Okay, set of characters which will represent the other set of characters. Okay, set of characters which will represent other set of characters. The definition of your entity. You can see there are 2 types of entity, predefined and user defined. The meaning of predefined and user defined already we have got in tagging rules, that XML tags are user defined and HTMLs are predefined, means which is already given by the system, which is already provided or written by the programmers. Okay, HTML rules already there, coding is there, whatever you write in a notepad or whatever, and for any web page designing, that browser it understands. Okay, it understands that these are the HTML code. So this is the predefined, means already defined. The browser automatically identifies the meaning of these tags. User defined, we have to define that. Till now that we are discussing about all the XMLs where we used to define our own tags. Okay, so here also entity, also there are 2 types of entity. What are these 2 types of? First one is user for predefined and user defined. Now these are the predefined entity set. Okay, predefined means, if you want to now see why these predefined entity sets are given, because you cannot use this sign if you want to display any value within an element. What I am trying to say if you want to display an element like say roll number and 5. Now this 5 you want to display like this, you want to keep like this, roll number is closed. Okay, roll number closed, but this 5 you cannot keep like that. Why you cannot write? Because this 5, according to rule of XML, every starting tag must have the closing tag, but there is no closing tag of this 5. But you want to display the value in this one, or sometimes you want to display this in double quotation. You also cannot be displayed in double quotation. Why? Because the double quotation means that the attribute values, but this is not an attribute. So in these such cases we must use what? Entity. Okay, for displaying purpose, to keep the values, to get the values in different locations. So here you see entity sets. If you want to display less than, you have to write LT, less than LT. Okay, less, LESS, less than LT. Clear? But before writing any entity set, you see there are 2 symbols are used. Note it, I have written here. An entity is always starts with ampersand and ends with semicolon. Have you seen? Ampersand and the name of the entity will be written, and at last semicolon will be given. This is the rules to define an entity, whether you are writing predefined entity or user defined. But these are the user defined, predefined entities are given. That means no need to define in the DTT. Simply directly if you write in XML, it will understand. No need to define in the DTT. Directly you can write. So you can see example here in page number 105. In page number 105, one example it is given to you. Here you see one in the DTT. This is the DTT part, but in the DTT it is not mentioned any entity. Simply element that till now that we have discussed. But in this XML part you can see here invitation it is given. Invitation to Deepika ampersand Sima. Okay, Deepika ampersand Sima. Now in place of ampersand, what this character set is used. That means Deepika and Sima. It can see in the output Deepika and ampersand is displaying automatically. It understands what is the M percent, and this means what? It means n ampersand. In the similar way, the next line you can see, a message it is given, quote birthday invitation and quote finished, means the double quotation. With the double quotation it is written, you see the double quotation automatically displaying in the birthday invitation in the left side and right side. Okay, in the both side you have to write, like quote here also it is mentioned, quote in the left side, right side, both side it is used. You can see in your book. Okay, always watch your video with the reference of your book. So in that way, in the next line you can see similarly, in the less than greater than, I am very excited, it is written in less than greater than sign. So you can see in excited it is in our output, excited it is written in less than greater, but this excited it is not any tag, remember it is a simple string values, a simple string value. So directly if you write less than greater than symbol, then it will be error, because it will identify this is a tag or this is an element, but it is actually not element. So for this reason we should use entity. So this is the about your predefined entity. Now comes to what is user defined entity. In user defined entity you have to define the entity in the DTD. So okay, so for that the syntax you see, as attribute list declaration used to write at list, here you have to write entity. Okay, then you have to write entity name, then the string value, what the value of the entity you can give. So simple XML DTD it is written, root is the element is the student and it has two children, roll number and name, and these are the two roll number and name, these are the elements even. Then entity comes. In entity rn means 1, nm means onzoom. I have given the value, now it is matching with this syntax, you see entity, yes, the name of the entity is rn, then the string any value within the double quotation. So in place of without writing one and or zone, we can use this entity reference in our XML. Now how it is used, you see, yes, in the XML, this is the XML part, you can see rn directly used, and the rule is that it should be started with what, ampersand sign and ends with semicolon. So rn and nm. Now you can see in the output what comes, rn means roll number, nm means origin it is coming. So this is the user defined entity. So and the chapter is completed here, and your syllabus is also completed. Half yearly syllabus it is already completed. Now yesterday we got one notification from the government that your summer vacation will start or will be executed from 1st of the May of this month, 1st of May to 31st May. That means there will be no summer vacation in June or July. Okay, so this will be assumed that this is your summer vacation month. And another things, it is not till now, it is not fixed, but they are discussing about that. Perhaps if you have got the news, then it is good, but if those who have not got that, for them I am telling that you see that the Assam government or Sabha board, they are discussing a lot to change the educational year. That means every time we ends our year in the December month, but this time it may be in the March month. Let's see what will happen. They will discuss and they will inform to the every institutions. It will be circulated over the state, throughout the state. So no problem, this information will get very soon. So till now we have to assume that our SSLC exam will be conducted in the month of February, or if it is extended also, so till March also, then also I think your exam will be conducted in the last of the February or maybe 1st of March. Okay, so don't be overconfident that yes, our exam will be postponed till March, April, May, like that we'll get more time. Okay, don't expect like that. Still you just prepare for the examination on February, in the February month. Okay, so I hope you have understood this chapter. If you have any doubt, you can ask me, no problem, and very soon I'll provide all the question answers of this chapter. Okay. Thank you.